From humble beginnings to commanding an empire, few historical figures loom as large as Napoleon Bonaparte. His military genius, political reforms, and continental ambitions forever changed the face of Europe. Born on the island of Corsica in 1769, Napoleon Bonaparte was the second son of a minor noble family. Despite his outsider status, his exceptional intelligence earned him a scholarship to a prestigious military academy in mainland France. As revolution swept through France in 1789, the young artillery officer saw opportunity amid chaos. His first major achievement came at the Siege of Toulon in 1793, where his innovative artillery tactics helped drive British forces from this key Mediterranean port. Napoleon's military brilliance truly shone in Italy and Egypt, where his victories captured public imagination. His Italian campaign of 1796–97 established him as France's rising star, defeating multiple Austrian armies despite being outnumbered. In 1799, at just 30 years old, Napoleon seized power in a coup d'état. 5 years later, he crowned himself Emperor of the French, symbolically taking the crown from Pope Pius VII's hands and placing it upon his own head. A bold statement that power came not from God or tradition, but from his own achievements. As emperor, Napoleon proved himself more than a military conqueror. He was also a visionary reformer. His civil code established legal equality, religious tolerance, and meritocracy, revolutionary principles that would spread throughout Europe. Under his leadership, Paris was transformed with grand boulevards, magnificent arches, and imposing monuments, many of which still define the city today. Napoleon understood that architecture and urban planning were expressions of imperial power. Napoleon's Grande Armée seemed invincible, defeating coalition after coalition formed against him. His greatest triumph came at the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805, where he decisively defeated the combined forces of Austria and Russia. At its height, his empire stretched from Spain to Poland, with family members installed on thrones across the continent. The man born on a small Mediterranean island now dominated Europe as no one had since the Roman emperors. Yet 2 fatal miscalculations would undo his grand ambitions. In 1812, he led over 600,000 men into Russia. The Russians refused decisive battle, retreating and burning their own land to deny resources to the invaders. The disastrous retreat through the Russian winter reduced his once mighty army to less than 100,000 survivors. Scenes of frozen soldiers and abandoned equipment marked the beginning of Napoleon's downfall. Napoleon's enemies seized their opportunity. Forced to abdicate in 1814, he was exiled to the Mediterranean island of Elba. But the emperor had one final act of defiance. In 1815, he escaped and reclaimed his throne for a brief period known as the 100 Days. The European powers rallied once more. At Waterloo in Belgium, an alliance led by the Duke of Wellington and Prussian Marshal Blucher finally defeated Napoleon for good. This time, his exile would be far more remote, the island of Saint Helena in the South Atlantic, where he would spend his final 6 years before dying in 1821, likely from stomach cancer. Napoleon's legacy extends far beyond battlefield glory. His legal reforms form the basis of civil law across much of the world today. The modern administrative state, with its professional bureaucracy and merit-based advancement, bears his imprint. Even in defeat, his legend inspired nationalist movements throughout the 19th century. Napoleon Bonaparte represents a bridge between old and new, the last great conqueror in the tradition of Alexander and Caesar, yet also a harbinger of modern nationalism and state power. His rise from obscurity to emperor embodied the revolutionary idea that talent, not birth, should determine one's station in life. Even 2 centuries after his death, we remain fascinated by this complex figure, the brilliant general who brought Enlightenment principles to the nations he conquered, yet whose ambition caused the deaths of millions. The man who championed liberty while creating a personal dictatorship. A perpetual outsider who became the ultimate insider. In modern terms, Napoleon was the ultimate disruptor, a man who saw that the old world was dying and seized the opportunity to shape the new one in his image. Napoleon Bonaparte, military genius, lawgiver, emperor. The man who, for better or worse, transformed Europe and created echoes that still resonate in our world today.